Hello, this is David Gordon, Marketing Expert Series, and we are very lucky enough today to have Jamie Mollart, who is a director at Rockchin Harris, one of Leicester's leading agencies. Jamie, as a start off, it would be great if you could tell myself and the students a bit about yourself and your career, please.
Yep, will do. Morning. It is morning still. Morning, David. Morning, students. I'm talking to you today from my my shed at the end of my garden because this is the new normal. And you say Leicester's leading agencies. We were in Leicester. Now we're spread out across Leicestershire and Nottinghamshire, working remotely. Yeah, it's strange times, but we're lucky to work in an industry where we can do that. I think generally we're lucky to work in the industry we do because it is it's amazing. I'm not going to lie, it's a job that doesn't feel like a job most of the time. We get paid to think, to be creative, and to have fun. My FD always says, in order to be successful as an agency, you need to do good work, you need to have fun, and you need to make money. And thankfully, touch wood, we're pretty good at all of those two things. So my job role is client service director. My wife thinks that involves me taking people out to dinner. There is some, there used to be some element of that. It's not something that happens right now, but I am basically responsible for the ultimate escalation point in the agency for any relationships with clients. So that goes from getting new clients to onboarding them, to top level strategic thinking, to ultimate responsibility for making sure that the work gets done and paid for, and also the escalation point for when things go wrong, which thankfully isn't that often. I manage a team currently of 13 people. The agency's got 65, which makes us, I guess, probably one of the largest agencies in the Midlands. And we are split pretty evenly between design and advertising, PR and social media, and digital. And these we've been going since 1982, and these things have been brought in over the years. And more nowadays, we're doing cross-departmental teams. Like, so for example, we're working with Open University. Sorry, David. Advertisement for competitor there. But they have a cross-departmental team which involves myself and Katie on the strategy side. It involves Will on the account management side. It involves Ellis from the PR team, and it involves Harshal from the digital team. And everything that we do goes through that. So in terms of my career, I actually did design media production at university. Always wanted to be working in this area, and I've done the classic: get in at the bottom and work your way up. And I think we'll talk about this later, I think, but that's fundamentally what you need to do to get in anywhere in advertising. You need to get in at the bottom, work your absolute socks off, be willing to do the dirty work and the grunt work. Be good at that. Don't complain. Be good at telling people how good you are, and slowly work yourself up. And I've done that through agencies. I've worked at 3 or 4 agencies over the 20 years. I've been at RKH now for, I want to say 14 years, but I might be less or more by a year either side. But I started as an account manager. I became senior account manager. I became account director. I became associate director. Became director, and then I part bought the agency. So, but been there for a long time and worked my way up to the ultimate responsibility. Really, it's now my baby.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you very much, Jamie. So, what would really be of value to students, additionally, is if you can talk to us about an element of what you do at RKH that relates in some way to the general marketing curriculum that we teach. What's important?
So I think what I've looked at, and it's something that is increasingly of interest to me, and it's something that we try to propagate amongst our clients, and that's the idea of strategic partnerships between businesses. I think in a world which is becoming more digital, and will become more digital over the next few months, because this is what we do now. We talk to people via Zoom and Slack and Microsoft Teams and all of the other stuff that's now become ubiquitous. In fact, I was on a talk the other day with APG, which is the planning group. So planners and strategists are part of the agency setup, and this guy stated that we've basically gone through 10 years of technological change in 3 months. Things that were on the periphery of what we could do, like video conferencing, augmented reality, virtual reality, things that were playthings really, have become just absolutely part of our jobs. And in order for that to happen, and going forward, I think strategic partnerships between brands is going to become more and more important. So I want to touch on that, if that's
sure,
okay.
That's great.
I'm going to give a whirl. I'm going to give a whirl at sharing screen, and I'm going to use the terms that have become most popular amongst people in the past few months. I'll do it now. Can you see this?
Yes.
It's okay, cool.
That's brilliant. Thanks.
So, there is an element of irony in this photograph. I wanted to add. I don't condone relationships between dictators. Not saying that either of these are, obviously, but but the idea of a strategic partnership between two businesses is really fascinating to me, and I think it's something that previously was mainly done for sort of like a tech advantage, really, and business purposes, as opposed to strategic marketing purposes now. And I think what we're seeing and have seen over the past few years is a movement from practical strategic partnerships, like, for example, Intel building a chip in Apple that goes in Apple Macs, which is pretty much white labeled. They don't try and hide it, but they don't publicize it, to high value, high profile strategic marketing partnerships. And I think it's been a subtle shift, but it's happened, and I don't think it's going away. So the first thing I probably want to stress about what a strategic partnership is, this is a definition from Wikipedia, so it's obviously true. A strategic partnership is a relationship between two commercial enterprises, usually formalized by one or more business contracts. A strategic partnership will usually fall short of a legal partnership entity, agency, or corporate affiliate relationship, which is jargon basically for, it's generally not setting up a new company, it is setting up a relationship rather than a new company. Strategic partnerships can take on various forms, from handshake agreements, contractual corporations, all the way to equity alliances, and to the formation of a joint venture or cross-holding to each other. So what this is basically saying is a strategic partnership is when you get two companies that have got strategically aligned interests that come together to form something else. And like I said, this happens in a lot of ways, but over the past few years, it's really started to be a much more strategic marketing enterprise. But I think you need to wonder sort of why brands would do this, really. I think the main purpose now is to cement their brand positioning and or to get into a new segment of a market. And I'll show you some examples of this in a minute, but the only reason for a brand to form a partnership with another one is if they get some commercial benefit from it. Unless it's a charity, but very often people get involved with charities exactly for brand purposes, and to position themselves through corporate social responsibility as in alignment with the company, with the charity's ethos. But generally speaking, the brands will do it either because they see some benefit in reaching the other brand's client base, or in doing so, they will cement something which is key about their own brand positioning. Chip in at any point if you've got any questions, David, or anything you want me to expand on. It's very strange doing presentations nowadays, because normally I'd be talking to a group of people and you can see some reactions, but now I'm talking to a screen with a reflection of my own face in it and the slide that I'm talking about. So you could all just be looking at me with confused faces. So it's got to be a mutually beneficial relationship. Something a solicitor said to me once was that the the definition of a good deal is when both parties are mutually unhappy, and I don't think that's the case anymore. He was basically coming from a legal point of view in that when you're making deals, you've got to make compromise. I think now and a good strategic partnership will actually be a win-win for both situations. What you can't have is a situation where one brand feels that the other brand is leeching off it and trying to gain traction from its brand equity. It's got to be mutually beneficial. If one is feeling like it's doing all the legwork and doing the grunt work in terms of brand recognition, then it's going to fail. Yeah, the main or only reason to do this is to make more money, and it could either be through gaining territory. So you could go into a strategic partnership with a company who distribute your product into a new area, both geographical or sociological. You could be going into a relationship with a company that would give you more of a distribution network. So, for example, Coke could go into a strategic marketing partnership with Tesco's. I mean, it's probably not going to, but it could, because what Coke could see is that they could gain the distribution network of Tesco stores, and what Tesco could see is they could gain the brand recognition of working with the world's largest brand. So that's an idea that both brands need to get something, and they both need to gain either market share of voice, or profit increase. I think the thing that is a danger with strategic brand partnerships is that you forget about the customers. Essentially, the only purpose for any brand existing, aside from making money for its shareholders, is to provide a service or product to the customers. And one of the decision-making processes that you need to go through when you're looking at effectively putting two companies together or two products together is what the customer perception of that's going to be. Most people, and this is actually, it's worth reading a book by Byron Sharp about this, about brand. Most people work within a subset of brands. So to stick with the example of fizzy drinks. I prefer Coke personally, but I like the flavor. So if I can't get Coke, I'll get Pepsi. And so you always have a sort of like a circle. Most people don't have 100% brand loyalty to a particular product. The cult of Apple might be an exception, but you have built up a set of associative networks around your feeling towards a brand, and you have expectations about that brand because of that. So if your favorite brand goes into a relationship with another company that jars with you and what you expect from that brand, it will effectively damage your relationship with the parent brand. So if you are a vegan and you like oat milk, and Oatly for some reason went into a relationship with a company that was renowned for cutting down parts of the Amazon. They never would, by the way, just for the record. Oatly are brilliant at this, but if they did, you as an Oatly customer it would change your perception about them. So any relationship, any strategic brand partnership needs to be done from a financial transactional point of view, and you've got to understand that you're going to make more money or benefit your brand from it, but also that it will work from a customer point of view, that it will enforce your brand perception within their mindset, not weaken it. And that's really, really important. And the ideal situation is not only will the brand partnership increase loyalty and improve brand perception within your own customer base, but will also take on board this other customer base and combine them into something bigger and stronger for both parties. I'll give you some real life examples, because I'm aware that I'm sort of using big words and quite marketing words. So this is a BMW i8, and these are Louis Vuitton suitcases. So i8, I don't know if you probably know this, but just for clarity, i8 is BMW's flagship electric supercar. It's expensive, it's luxurious, it's very, very fast. One of the problems that they have, and the electric car market have as a whole, is about range. So people, it's lightning fast. It's as fast as a Ferrari. It's as comfortable as a Ferrari. It's as beautiful as a Ferrari. Ferrari can drive for hundreds and hundreds of miles, maybe not hundreds, some hundreds, on a single tank. And then there are petrol stations everywhere where you can top it up. The concern that people have with swapping to electric only is that they're not going to get very far, and there's not the network in place in order to top up if they do. So very cleverly, what they've done is partnership with Louis Vuitton and created a set of travel luggage that goes with the i8, which then firstly it matches the customer demographic profile perfectly. If you're looking at buying an i8, the chances are you can afford or do own Louis Vuitton. But the idea of making travel luggage to go in a car suggests that you can go away in it, and it immediately starts addressing the issue that people have around distance of travel by just presenting the fact that why would we make travel luggage if you couldn't go away in it? And not only have we made travel luggage that means you can go away, but we've made ones that understands how you feel about the marketplace and where you think you sit within that. From Louis Vuitton's point of view, they are automatically associated with the most high end of cars that they can. And then it's just for someone who's buying an i8, which is hundreds of thousands, some add-on travel luggage, which is a few thousand, is a small, is the equivalent of buying a new headrest for it. But for Louis Vuitton, it's a whole new marketplace. So it's a really good match. Next one is, I think I've got the right order. I'm going to take this. I think this is GoPro and Red Bull. Can you hear that, David?
Yep. Got it. No, I can't hear it. Can see it, but not hear it. No problem. It looks great, though.
So the reason that works so well, and why it's such a perfect brand, a strategic brand partnership, in my opinion, is both of those brands have got really strong positioning in extreme sports. Red Bull are really visible in this area. That, you know, with all the planes, the sponsorship of the race cars, and GoPro are equally the same. Now, what's so beautiful about this partnership is that Red Bull is about the facilitation of extreme sports, and GoPro is about the recording and the ability to review extreme sports.
Sorry, so I've got a blank screen. If you want to.
Yeah, sorry, it's just the video. Okay. It's just the end of the video. So I'll switch over to that one for you. That's my next one. So the two brands exist as bookends of an experience, and both work around it. So they just basically align themselves with a start to finish experience of extreme sports, and it benefits both of them. So it's perfect. This one is Nike and iWatch. Again, it works perfectly. They both are about a stylish, active lifestyle. And Apple don't do many strategic partnerships. They don't need to, frankly. But this one works really beautifully for both of them, because Nike, so they're both as brands about being self-consciously cool and having a higher price point than their competitors. And so by partnering with each other, it reinforces that brand perception within both customer bases. And if you imagine from Apple's point of view, their users could be related, could be affiliate, could wear Nike or Adidas trainers or any other there are other trainers out there. But this basically pins themselves to the higher end of that market, and vice versa for Nike. The last example I've got is Uber and Spotify, which on face value seems like quite a strange partnership, but I'll just play this little video that explains how it works. So the reason this works for me is the brand positioning of both Uber and, well, firstly, they're both disruptive brands. So they basically went into a marketplace that was incredibly controlled by an old way of doing something and completely blew it apart. Like Spotify destroyed CDs single-handedly. And I personally was a big fan of purchasing music because I like to see it lined up. I can't remember the last time I bought anything. I just buy vinyl occasionally now, because Spotify is so perfect and so easy and so well designed that there is no reason to go back. Uber basically the same, like taxis, and I know there's some concerns about workers' rights and so on, and London, there's been problems in London with it, but as a business model, it is absolutely perfect, and it's so perfect from the consumer's point of view that it's completely disrupted the market. And both of the brand's core essences are about control, personal control through digital disruption. It's about doing things your way, and it's almost about doing things your way at the detriment of the established route, which is slightly punk and appeals to their target market. So for them to combine and create this partnership, they're just such perfect bedfellows. It just works so nicely. Now, not only can you control your journey by your phone, but you can control your journey experience by your phone as well. And it combines the two things. And it's all about doing things your own way. And I just think that's really perfect and benefits both of them. Probably doesn't benefit the driver, to be honest, because my first temptation is to get in and play really loud, annoying music. But it's all about the customer. So I think the main point I wanted to get across from this, David, was that strategic partnerships between brands, I think, are going to be even more important over the next few years than they ever have been. That when you're doing them, they need to be mutually beneficial for both brands. That both companies need to see a clear way that will benefit them in terms of sales, positioning, and customer experience. That when you choose whether you're going to do it or not, that you come at it from a customer point of view, in that it needs to be a seamless, logical, and neatly put together partnership that you benefit from. but that if done properly, it can be an incredibly powerful tool that will dramatically increase your share of voice, share of market, or profitability. And I think what we're going to see over the next few years, because of this digital shift that we've had through lockdown, is that this will be a increasing trend and one to watch, certainly from your students' point of view when they get out into the real world in a couple of years. I think an awareness of how strategic brand partnerships work will give them a massive head start, because it's going to become even more important.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's brilliant.
Sharing my screen.
Thanks for that, Jamie. Just as a last few minutes, from your career history and your experience of managing a large team and developing and nurturing and recruiting, what tips have you got for final year students, generally looking for a job in marketing in its broadest sense or commercially, and specifically wanting to move into an agency field?
So a few things really. Firstly, do it because it's brilliant. I've been working in agencies, I don't want to tell you actually, 20 years probably. And I've loved every day of it pretty much. It's the most rewarding thing you could possibly imagine. We get to play with lovely brands. We get to play with psychology. We get to do creative design work. We get to play with technology. People who work in agencies generally are cool and exciting, creative people to be around. Every day is different, and it's brilliant. It's hard to get into, and I think that it is difficult. That it's because it's an attractive industry. A lot of people want to get into it, and you will need to put in some graft. And everyone who's done this, everyone who works in this industry has gone through the rubbish bit at the beginning, and there's no other way of putting it, to be honest. You need to work your socks off for the first couple of years and prove yourself. Most agencies work on a vertical career progression where you come in as in my field, account exec, senior account exec, junior account manager, senior account manager, account director, associate director, and there's just a vertical, and that applies whether it's account management, planning, digital, PR, social, whatever. And you can't jump. And I think the challenge for young, ambitious people is to understand that you gotta earn your stripes, and to not try and jump. I see a lot of people trying to jump too quickly, and it doesn't help you in the long term. The best thing to do is get in and be a sponge. Like, if you go into an agency, you're going to be surrounded by 50 people who've got great experience. So treat your first couple of years as absorbing stuff and giving value where you can. I think it's a key point. I think the other key point is there's a lot of jobs that you can do within the industry. There's a lot of those verticals. Like in-house, we do design, advertising, strategy, digital email marketing, website build, paid for social and PPC, organic PPC content. There's so many jobs, and while there's nothing to say that you can't switch around once you get in, but it's good to go in with an idea of where you want to go, because the thing that's most important when you're applying for a job is to be specific. And there's a few things that are annoying as an employer is when you get an email that says "Dear Sir or Madam." That really winds people up. Don't do that. And an email that's clearly been copied and pasted and just put in the details. We want to feel flattered, and want to feel that you want to work for us. So spend a bit of time doing some research. Find out who you need to talk to. Find out about our clients. Write a personal approach to the person that you want to talk to. Don't be too wacky, but get your personality through. and be like. And the thing that the mistake that most people make when they're applying for their first job in agencies is they talk about how they want to come to this agency because it will be good for their career progression, which is probably true. But from our point of view, we don't know who you are. So we, in the nicest possible sense of the word, don't really care about your career progression. We care very deeply once you join. But the first thing to get across to the person you're talking to is how you can help them. So look at some example experience that you've had, or some thoughts that you've had, or some comment that you can make on the industry as a whole, and demonstrate to us why we would get benefit from you. I'll give you an example. One of our guys, he's now senior account manager, and he is brilliant. He came to us with zero experience, absolutely none. But during the time when he was thinking about getting into marketing, he started running the social media. I'm not going to say who it is, because if he sees this, he'll be too proud. But how he started running the social media channels for his dad's shop, and he just brought it in and showed me, and I could really see something in it. He understood the target market. He had a really nice tone of voice. The way he was using the different channels in different ways was intuitive. He'd obviously not been taught. He just he intuitively understood the different reasons for different channels. And we thought, let's take a punt on him. Like, he's come in and he's demonstrated how he can provide value to the agency. And we took a punt on him, and he's absolutely flown. So it's really important that I can't stress that enough, to demonstrate how you can benefit the agency, not the other way around. Once you're in an agency, like as a member of the IPA, we have to provide a huge amount of training for our staff. So you will get nurtured, you will get career progression will happen once you get in, but just think about that first. And the other thing I think is it will seem difficult to get in. It just will, because there's not many agencies, and there's a lot of good people out there. But once you're in, you're in, and you can move around agencies. You can move agency client side. There's a lot you can do. So don't be despondent. Don't expect. Don't get feel that there's a gatekeeper there, because there's not. It's just there's a lot of people, and remember that the person you're applying to the other side went through this too, so they understand it's difficult, and they want you to do the best you can. But I honestly keep going. If you don't get your interview on your first application, don't worry. Just keep going, because once you're in, and it's worth it. I
Brilliant.
promise.
Jamie Mollart, thank you very much. That's been a fantastic talk.
You're welcome.
I really, really appreciate it. Right. Thank you very
No
much.
worries at all.